Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison, and I'd like to welcome you to our final community call before we gather in Chartres. We will begin, as we always do, with Apela and her invocation. Apela?
Good morning, Jim. I'm lighting this cedar from Chartres, from the hill of Chartres, to purify and to call in the elements, spirits of the great directions. And with our candle from Labyrinth, our Labyrinth candle from Chartres, Great Spirit ancestors, it's a wisdom community calling to you as we prepare for our journey to Chartres. We ask for you to be with us. It's a morning, and it's a morning with mourning. What's happening to the earth? What's happening to human beings? The suffering, the hatred, the divisiveness. We celebrate at Chartres this year with your blessings, the mystery of geometry. May that mystery reveal to us the geometry that resides within and align it with the geometry that resides without. And through this mystical union, may we be a creative part of nature again. May we heal, and may we be unified out of the aligned geometry. I give you thanks for this school, for each of the people on the call, and the ancestor standing behind you. I give thanks for the reality of grace, and that we could remember to come together in this way to renew all my relations. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Apela. We are going to embark on a theme of dreams as we begin this call. And Apela, who leads our dream sessions every day so splendidly at Chartres, will speak to that. But I just want to note, Apela, before you begin, as everybody knows, you're there in Maui, right next to the Big Island, and you have an exceedingly active volcano. I'd love to just hear from you and just share with the group what is it like being that close to a very active, large volcano?
Yeah, I was, what it's like today and yesterday, it was hard to talk because if you look outside over the ocean, the air is just hazy, and the haze is volcano smog. And the problem with that is the sulfur dioxide, which is poisonous. I've felt like I have strep throat, and it feels like there's a vice around my chest. It's really hard to breathe. This volcano on Big Island has been active since about 1983. And the mystery, the sacred mystery of it, and how the earth creates and renews, the Hawaiian people created this representation of the power of the volcano. And if you look, it's a woman, a powerful woman, and her name is Pele. At the top here, you see this circle, semicircle, which represents the crust of the earth. And the fingers pointing upwards here are the islands that she's pushing up through the crust of the earth. And that's what's happening right now in this moment. And it's a completely natural force. It's a completely natural thing to happen. What happened with humanity in relation to Pele is that we seem to have forgotten how to relate with this force of nature. In my prayer, I mentioned sacred geometry. There is something in our thinking. Our geometry, maybe it's not big enough or not aligned enough, but for some reason, developers were allowed to build subdivisions, some of them expensive, on a lava field of an active volcano. And then people actually bought those houses. You have to ask, how could that be? What kind of thinking went into that? And now there's terrible danger because the lava is bursting out. It was in a pool, in a caldera at the top of one of our mountains. And eventually the lava built up. You could see it jumping out of the puka, or the hole within the caldera. And now enough of it built up that it's forcing its way downward, and we're having earthquakes all the time. And the lava is jumping out of fissures that exist within the rocks, and major highways are closed, and communities being evacuated. And yet, what's going on is holy, is sacred. Earth is being created, only we're not treating it that way. The only respite for us is when the trade winds return and the wind blows from the north. When that happens, it just, the instant it happens, my chest opens and I can breathe again, and my throat isn't on fire anymore. So that's what's going on in Hawaii, on the islands now. And we don't know when it's going to end. And even the island I'm on, it's the volcano is not erupting, but it's still classified as an active volcano. So here we are in the middle of the Pacific, living on a volcano. Our elders, the Hawaiian elders, used to take really good care of the ceremonies. And Jim, you'll remember Mr. Makua. He used to go every day to the volcano, and he used to say, I'm going to my office. And as long as he was alive, it seemed like everything was pretty much in balance. And after he passed away the first year, 6 new fissures opened up on the side of the volcano. So I ask for your prayers for the people of the big island of Hawaii and all of Hawaii, because we need to align ourselves differently from the way we've been doing it with Pele.
Yeah.
And then the question comes to me in terms of not being aligned, and in terms of looking for a geometry that will align us. Where can we find that alignment? Because of the forces of history, we don't share a common language. We don't share a common set of symbols. We don't share a way to unite the diversity within and without. When we came to Chartres almost, 14 years ago, I had no intention of doing dream work there. And yet dreams are one of the ways that we can acquire a set of symbols that unites us all, and directions for moving forward, a way of connecting the worlds. When we came to Chartres, I didn't know that we were going to be doing dream work. It evolved, and it evolved because people would catch me after invocations. They would ask me if I would listen to a dream. So eventually, Jim and I talked about things, and we started just listening to the dreams. miracles began to happen. And there was a whole evolution to how this model of dream work came to be. What's really amazing is that it started out in a simple way based in my Oneida heritage of just simply listening to each other's dreams in a prayerful way, just listening. That turned into be a ceremony. And how it happened, although I was oblivious to that it was happening, is the first year that we got there, and we began to listen to the dreams, we discovered that a complete ritual set of the Gaul indigenous people from Chartres had been found at the base of the hill of Chartres. There was a Gaul, or Gaulois tribal man who had a house, and it was deliberately burned down. This would have been in about the 1st century. And because the Romans were already there was an inscription on the goblet, a clay goblet, naming the spirits that the people were calling to. And there were also bowls with snakes wrapped around and looking into the bowl, and a knife, and some oil lamps. So at the time I thought, well, I got to find out how you do this ritual. And I went and talked with elders in different parts of the world, and they said, yes, it's still possible to do this ritual, but things weren't coming together. And what I didn't realize is that we were in the process of being given a ritual. The ritual is like this. In the morning, we start out with music, and then people come in, and you can come and go as you wish, and you share your dreams. There's no crosstalk, there's no analyzing. We simply share them, and then we do 2 things. We write them down, and we also glyph or cartoon them or illustrate them. And the value of the illustrations is that you can symbolize many, many dreams on one sheet. And when you have a whole group of people reporting dreams, you can't remember all those dreams, and you can't, by reading it, it's overwhelming. The mind can't hold it. But by illustrating them or cartooning them or drawing them on these big flip chart papers, we can look and see multiple dreams at one time. With those dreams, the dream team then meets, and we begin to synthesize. We don't analyze, we synthesize. And what we're looking for is the meta communication or geometry, to see, in my way of thinking, what the ancestral message is and what the message is from the sacred site, the sacred hill of Chartres. Indigenous elders tell us that the Earth's sacred sites are now pulsing with energy because Mother Earth is trying to help us to restore balance and harmony again with nature. So the dream team worked together this year, and Dan, I'm going to ask you to pull up the copy of the dream journal that we will have available for purchase at Chartres. And it's available for purchase because one of the things we need to do as a wisdom school is to be self-sustaining in this ritual, not only of dream work, but the ritual that Chartres itself has become. We have moved from an academic talking head mode to a complete full-on ritual, including the night in the crypt and walking the labyrinth, and then the activities in the afternoon, and Jim's teachings in the morning. So this dream journal emulates that. There's no other process of dream work on earth that is like this, that works with the collective, not the individual, that works with synthesizing, not breaking apart and analyzing. And none of the way that what has come about was planned or orchestrated. It's a direct gift from the ancestors of the sacred hill of Chartres. So, and the last thing is that at the end of the week, we do a presentation to reflect back to the community what we have seen or gleaned from the dreams. And this year we're doing something, we're trying something, so fingers crossed, a new software that's like what DJs use with music in nightclubs, but this is with images, and it's called Resolume. And hopefully that will free us from presenting dreams back to the community at Chartres on Friday night without the tyranny of PowerPoint, which is linear, and you go click, 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 click through every slide, and dreams don't work that way. And when we have conversations about the dreams and discussion, and people have questions and we want to refer back, it's a click, 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 click. So this is supposed to let us move fluidly. So the dream work at Chartres is a full-on powerful ceremony, and it's evolving, and we get to do it together. So I hope you'll join us and help us take the dream work to the next level and take our own selves and our own geometry at least a step forward to the one that we're looking for and need. So thank you.
Thank you. It's such a rich part of our Chartres experience, and Apela leads it each year. I also note that Kate is one of the participants on the call. Kate is an integral part of the whole dream team. Kate, I don't know whether you want to say anything or make any comment. Kate, do you want to appear?
Jim, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just want to say that Kate is is in the unenviable position of being the one that has to wrestle with this new technology and learn it. So that's why she was over here trying to prepare for this. And it's a really sophisticated piece of software. So fingers crossed, because we could totally bomb on this, but we're hoping not.
I see Kate. Kate, open up your video if you can and just make some comment about this new app.
Well, I can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. It's certainly not about the technology. It's nighttime here, so I don't think you can see me. But what we hope is that we can create a way of communicating the power of receiving all these symbols in a much more fluid, improvisational, celebratory way. And I think what we've all learned working together and collecting the dreams and processing the dreams is that there is this, they have such power and potency and vivid histories. And we've been presenting it back to the group for, well, I've been there for 5 years, Apela for much longer. And we've always had this sense of not bringing it to life in quite the fluid way that it could be. So we're embarking on the next attempt, which is, to animate, to have the transformational kind of metamorphosis quality of dreams in the room on Friday. So we will see, it will be a grand experiment, and yeah, really excited about it.
Fantastic. Prayers to Pele.
Thank you.
Yes.
And by the way, I just noticed that Genoa is with us today. Genoa, if you're there and have video, show us your beautiful face. It's Genoa every year, everyone, since we started.
Yes.
That provides the gorgeous silks, which are as much part of our Chartrean experience as the labyrinth or the crypt or the dream work. Without the silks, there would really be no Chartres. So Genoa, if you're there, she is. You're on mute. You're on mute.
She doesn't sit here.
Oh. You're on mute.
Genoa. Well, she's saying something. She must be in a car.
Oh, she's driving in a car. Oh, we can see you, but we can't hear you.
Well, she's giving us a good talk.
That's classic Genois.
Yes.
Well, we wish you could join us, Genois. We truly wish you could join us. We love you. We love your silks. So let's move on and expand this theme of dreams for a moment. Banafsheh has brought a true gift into our midst for this year, and she gifted me a book called Awakened Dreams by Ahmet Hilmi that I read about 6 months ago. And it was one of the most impactful books I think I've read in recent memory. Short, clear, incisive, and utterly profound in its treatment of the journey of the soul through the portal of ethics as we approach the altar of beauty. So, Banafsheh, I want to thank you for that gift, because it's turning into something really amazing that we're going to do in Chartres. So I asked Banafsheh to wax eloquent for a few minutes on Awakened Dreams. Banafsheh.
Thank you, Jim. I want to start by saying that the word geo originates in the pre-Sanskrit language of Avesta, the language spoken by Zarathustra, as Geo. It was pronounced Geo, meaning earth. And Geo becomes Gaia in Greek, and the word Jan in Persian, which means soul. So interestingly, earth and soul are essentially the same. I'm so excited that we will be reading this story that Jim mentioned, one of the stories of this book, Awakened Dreams, by the Turkish-Bulgarian writer Ahmet Hilmi. In the morning sessions, with Jim, we will read the story, and in the afternoons, we plan to enact it on Mondays, the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday sessions. Peggy Rubin, Karen Rivers, and Ruth Cunningham and myself will be leading these sessions. The book Awakened Dreams by Ahmet Hilmi was written in the early 1900s, and it has elements of a fantastic fairy tale, but it's really a real account of a spiritual journey. And for many years, it's been used by different Sufi teachers as a means of reflecting on the state of an individual's evolution on the path to wholeness and a return to the source or union with the divine. And on the way through the stages of evolution, the spiritual journey is evaluated according to the spiritual dreams which the traveler sees. And the dreams reflect the state of the dreamer. In the story, we'll be reading that's called Field of Justice from this book. What we see played out beautifully is the interplay between the Zoroastrian ideology that sees existence in terms of duality and a battle between light and dark, with light ultimately triumphant, and the Sufi ideology that sees all as one and aims to live the oneness by awakening to a third force, which is love. I'm going to read a little passage from Awakened Dreams. Is that okay, Jim?
Please.
So in the words of the character Mirror Dede, Mirror Father, who is the person who leads the other character through his spiritual journey and basically takes him with the sound of the reed flute, with the sound of the ney, into a dream world where the character Raji, who is the traveler, meets with prophets and holy people. In the story we will be reading, he actually meets Zarathustra. So let me read a little passage that Mirror Dede sings to our character Raji. He sings, "O oneness, you are the endless rolling sea. Again, it is you who is seen among the many waves. Though you have given yourself 1,000 names, 100,000 forms, whatever is said, the sky, the stars, the spirit of the body is you, only you. Even if the eye of man looks with intense attention at the universe, the sky, the blue vault, the sun, the world above, or this earth and this soil, even if he looks at the face of Adam with the telescope of knowledge, it is you, only you. In hyacinth and basil, or in thistle, in the heart-rending roar of the lion, or the sweet voice of the nightingale, in the bud that lends joy, or the fragrance of the rose that uplifts the spirit, in the most lifeless particle, in the least of the animals, it is you, only you. In all my senses, in heart, intellect, and conscience, when I'm drunk and bewildered with the desire of love, and in the pain of the moments when I'm separated from my beloved, in my uncertain soul that burns with longing, it is you, only you. In my embrace when the moon-faced beauty trembles, when in a moment infinity unfolds, when enraptured I behold the snowy sky, in fear of grandeur when my soul is bewildered, it is never anything but you, only you.
Ooh.
So this story has a profound, breathtaking twist, and it speaks directly to our times, so much in need of justice and so polarized, as Apela was saying in her opening. In the morning sessions, we intend to tease out the key points in the story and generate a dynamic group discussion around them. And in the 3 afternoons, we'll enact the story in song, dance, dramatization, and reflect on the geometry of some of the key elements, key concepts, love, beauty, and justice. We will encourage creative input from all the participants and do a presentation, hopefully, on Friday evening. So that's it for me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's really going to be extraordinary, everyone, because in the morning I'm going to take, after Apela does the invocation, then Banafsheh is going to read a certain portion of the 3rd chapter of the Field of Justice. And then I'm going to reflect on Zarathustra for a few minutes. And then we're going to really have a dialogue until, start at 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock each morning. We'll have a real dialogue about different aspects of the great drama, the cosmic drama between light and dark, and how through that polarity and contradiction, the alchemical process of love unites all in a cosmic adoration of beauty. It's one of the most extraordinary books I think I've ever read. And it encompasses in the most dense way I know what it is that I think all of us in our heart of hearts believe to be fundamentally true. And then with Banafsheh and Ruth and Karen and Peggy as co-directors, will be turning that into a play. If those of you who haven't been to Chartres and haven't experienced Peggy Rubin, a great Shakespearean actor and director, to say nothing about Miss Sayyad and Karen Rivers, who also loves to do plays, with Ruth, who plays probably a dozen different instruments. We're going to have quite a time, and it'll all culminate in a grand finale on Friday evening. So thank you very much for that, Banafsheh. It was a true gift to me and a true gift to this community. And I deeply appreciate it. And in the great books, in May and June, I teach a course for the university and the Wisdom School on the great books. And this book that I'm contemplating now is Friedrich Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra. So my psyche and heart and mind are full of Zarathustra that we'll be bringing into my little nuggets in Chartres. So it's going to be a beautiful time together. Now,
this story is very profound, and I feel that by enacting it and experiencing the different parts that are introduced in the story, that it will be very transformative for each and every one of us who participate.
Yes. Well, thank you. And we have news that Andrew Harvey has managed to penetrate the veils of technology.
Yes, I did. I'm so sorry, everyone. I just heard I heard bits of the wonderful speech, the heart oration of Apela, and something of what you just said. This is really exciting.
Well, thank you for joining us, Andrew. What we thought we would do, just as a delectable jewel in the crown of the call today, having explored our dreams, our community expression of dreams, and then Ahmet Hilmi's awakened dreams that we'll be enacting in Chartres, just to have a word from Andrew on Kabir. That's the lecture that Andrew's going to give in Chartres this year, the great poet Kabir. And so, Andrew, why don't you just give us a little aperitif of Kabir as we bring this.
I'd be very honored. I would. Well, my dear friends, this is a holy occasion for me, because what I'm offering you is the essence of my life's devotion to this astounding liberator that is Kabir. And I just want to plunge in immediately into Kabir so that we can immediately absent ourselves from the scattering mind and enter into the Kabir field, the field of a radiant, embodied, naked presence beyond concept, beyond religion, beyond anything but the signless itself. So listen to these absolutely pure, noble words that come out of complete simplicity, lived in the heart, mind, soul, body. The Lord himself is a guest in your heart. Why are you so still desperately seeking him? Offer your whole heart to him before night darkens it. How many eons you've waited for this momentous chance, go near now to his heart. Offer yourself selflessly. He'll give you an ocean of ecstasy and explain to you himself love's mysteries and essence. Kabir says, how could I ever express how blessed I am to have won his unshakable love? I just wanted that poem to baptize us in this tremendous truth field that is Kabir, because in the time I have, I really just want to open up in my adoration of him three of the great, fierce, noble, pure teachings of absolute alignment that stream from his superconscious, embodied, human, divine truth. And these three amazing teachings are, I think, a huge clue for us as to how to align in the human field to the divine. And that's why Kabir is coming back at this momentous moment with this fierce, clean, radiant, revolutionary vision beyond religion about naked presence, embodied presence, to give us the next evolutionary step naked, and the geometric map edged with diamond fire, an evolutionary map towards that. So I want to just open up these three mysteries and then read you a poem, a single poem, in which the essence of the mystery that I've chosen to celebrate is revealed. The first mystery that Kabir tackles head on is that of ultimate reality. And for Kabir, ultimate reality is stainless God, absolutely stainless, signless, no thing, utterly beyond any kind of religion, utterly beyond any kind of dogma, utterly beyond any kind of beyond, a total shattering, totally destructively glorious light beyond imagining and power and majesty and glory. And this is the fundamental bomb that has exploded, the bomb of this eternal nothing, this one. This is the bomb that has exploded at the core of Kabir's astounding vision. And here is a poem from that freedom that this drunkenness on the one brings. I meditate on the one only, on the signless one. I have no other friend. No grief comes near me, no suffering attacks me. I call no doctor. Mine is the true teacher, the eternal teacher, and only he can take my pulse. I don't go down to sacred rivers. I don't bathe in holy water. The 68 holy places are all right here in my own body. Here, right here, I wash away every dark stain. I don't pluck leaves. I don't worship stones. I don't haunt temples. I don't chop down trees. I don't grab at shrubs. I keep mixing light with light. And under the dais of the one true teacher, coming and going are gone. That's the first mystery that Kabir explodes, this bomb that went off in himself of being the stainless one in our essence, beyond all concept and all possible form. And from that explosion of truth that Kabir enshrines in these astounding poems comes the second mystery. And that is the mystery of what I call the two insanities that a vision of transcendent and immanent truth make absolutely clear. And those two insanities are the total insanity of the world of power and the ego, the world, the total lunatic asylum essential nature of the whole of the world of illusion, and the divine insanity, which demands a death into life for true life to be born in heart, mind, soul, and body, the ultimate insanity of paradox at the core of the real, fierce, clean, clear map of the human evolution of the divine human. And this has never been more astoundingly expressed than in this poem of Kabir, these two that you have to confront and allow to slaughter your complacency on every level. This, I've discovered, is true knowledge. Those who scramble to get into a boat sink like a stone midstream, while the shelterless and abandoned reach the other shore. And those who dare to take the hard, winding, thorny road, well, they get to town in the end, but those who stroll the easy highway get robbed or even killed soon after they set out. Everyone's wound in illusion's web, the so-called holy as much as the worldly, and those who run for safety under the comforting dais of form and ritual and dogma, well, life's hurricane lashes them. Stay out in the open, you'll be left safe and dry. The ones love never savages, live in boredom and pain. Those love devours like a cannibal. They live in bliss forever, and the ones who lose their own eyes come to see the whole creation blazing in their own light. Those who hold on to their sight remain blind as bats in full moon. When I began to awake to truth, I saw how bizarre and crazy the world really is. All the pretensions of the world of power and ego are completely destroyed by the revelation of the boundless glory of the One. And all the pretensions of the ego to separate life are totally unmasked by the rapture of that radiance. And as the whole being turns, as he says, again and again to the radiance, which he calls divine love, the experience in the heart, mind, soul, and body, as the whole being turns in that rapture to the source of love, so love embodies itself in mind and in heart, and increasingly in a divine mystery in the deepest cells of the body, birthing a new kind of being, fully divine, fully human. And this is what is expressed in these two poems that I'd love to just scent our souls with, because they seem to me to be the poems of the fundamental birth that is trying to take place in us all, and they are the poems of the embodying of that radiance through dying into the light to be reborn in it. So the first one, Kabir drank in avidly the nectar of God's love, and the well-baked pot will never again be turned on the potter's wheel. The wine of the beloved's face becomes more ravishing the more you drink it, but it is hard to buy, for the wine seller demands your head in exchange. Many throng around the wine merchant's stall. He drinks his fill who offers his head. The rest get turned away dry and empty. And you are truly drunk with the beloved's wine, whose bliss never changes, when you roam like a mad elephant, forgetful of yourself. The bliss-drunk elephant forfeits its usual grasp of the arrow of love, burns within his heart. He's chained to the gate of love and throws dust on his own head. The drunken one is absorbed in one unknown. He has overcome desire and soared free of anxiety, and under the spell of love's wine he transcends, while in the body the stage of liberation. The lake in which once not even a jug could be lowered, the love-mad elephant now bathes in with bliss. The temple has drowned along with its spire, yet the birds go thirsty. Kabir exhausted many yogic alchemies, but found none like the Lord's love. If even one drop enters your body, your whole being turns to gold. And at the core of the mystery of Kabir, and at the core of the mystery of this fierce map of evolution, this geometric terrible, amazing map that is being radiated through the words of Kabir to us of the real path, the path of divine embodiment that demands this rapturous death into the one, so that the one can be born in the quarks and neutrinos of ourselves in a new level of tender, humble human splendor. And I'd love to end by just grounding all of this splendor, because one of the things that I hope to be able to convey about Kabir to you is that someone who knew all of this and lived all of this and was able to speak all of this with total, authentic simplicity, the ultimate kind of witness. That person was also very grounded. He was a poor man. He lived as a weaver in Benares. He absolutely refused to be a holy man in anybody's concept of what that meant. He pretended neither to be a Sufi nor a Hindu because he was beyond both. He really lived as a sane, just, humble man in the middle of his world, radiating. And he writes of the kind of life that we need to live in the world to be able to be the living, embodied, divine human that we're meant to be. And this is about as beautiful, I think, in any scripture as you get the ultimate truth in very no bullshit ways. That person who's kind, who practices righteousness and justice, who remains at peace in the world's madness, who feels all sentient beings as his or her own self, this person attains the deathless one and is accompanied always by the true God. So there's the revelation of the one shattering all concept, revealing the two insanities that need to penetrate completely the full self and flay it alive. And then the birth out of that amazing abattoir, the birth of the divine human, living a humble life of justice and righteousness and peace and compassion and service and deep, deep prayer for all sentient beings in the core of an exploding planet. So that's my offering at your feet and at the feet of this universal, mystical prophet and poet, this great, sacred liberator. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm looking forward to hearing more about Kabir. You brought him to life in an extraordinary way. And he'll fit right in with Ahmet Hilmi's Awakened Dreams. And I'm sure there's a way to integrate Kabir into what we're doing in Chartres this year. So thank you for that. We have just a few more minutes.
Hey, are you there?
Yes.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. I had another interference. How did you feel that, Jim? How was that for you, everybody? I'd love it. If anybody could say anything, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, I was just going to open it up. If there's anybody among the participants that wants to comment on what Andrew just said. I was just saying, Andrew, that the way you made Kabir come alive, it reminds me of, the great poem of Ibn Arabi, where, he's beyond everything. He's beyond all the forms. He's all of them and beyond them at the same time.
Exactly.
And, in Banafsheh, that's what you were saying earlier in this call, that beyond all the contradictions is love. And love is in the service of beauty. And that's just sort of the bottom line.
And that is a real phenomenology. That's a real phenomenology of the unity that we can have as a human race now, expressing itself in acts of compassion and justice. It comes from that really clearing away of all the rubbish to embrace the one in its full, outrageous dance of opposites with unconditional surrender and love, trusting that dying into it will rebirth you as an embodied divine human being, and then turn up and do the grueling, humble work in life from that place.
Exactly. Jane, do you have any comment on Kabir? Talk to us about Kabir.
Yeah, well, I thank you, Andrew. I particularly loved the very opening sentence. You said something to the effect that humans, we're all looking for God. We spend our whole life searching for something outside of us, and then we come to this grand conclusion that, oh my God, God is within us. So that was, it's not exactly how you said it, but I particularly liked that because from my research with sacred geometry and pure mathematics, I can conclude that everything that is external, like when we look at the proportions of the planets from the sun, all those sacred ratios that are in the pyramids of Egypt, all the mathematics of pine cones and flowers, they actually are in our body. And I can actually say with conclusiveness that every cell in our body is based on one of the 5 platonic solids.
Wow.
So
it must be that. It must be that intercoherent on every level. It must be.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how amazing that this is the time that we have given the chance to really embody it fully.
So we're each a walking sacred geometry. Thank you so much, Andrew. I feel like Kabir really guides us into embodying all that you were saying, embodying the complete human being.
Oh God, yes, because it all boils down to that. It's like all of Rumi boiling down to a breathing human being. Kabir is about that last quotation. He who is kind and who practices righteousness and justice, he walks with true God. She walks with true God. Wow. That's getting down to what it takes to be a true citizen of love, isn't it?
Truly, truly. But let's hear from others, Jim. What do you think?
Yeah, Ruth or Kaylin, do you want to comment? We've just got a few minutes left, and I would, Dawn Kirk, if you're around, I'd love to hear from you. What's your reflection on Kabir or the dreams?
Okay, so this is very personal. About 3 weeks ago, my mom was in the hospital in my hometown, about 90 miles from where I live, and I was her caretaker during this period. And I'm one of 3 children, adult children. And as a result of my presence, I've been the adult child that's been present for her in her later years. My siblings were very attacking, verbally and in text messages. So as I listened to Andrew, what I've wanted to do as a result of being attacked is just to retreat and to kind of curl up into a ball and disappear. And as I listened to Andrew talk about Kabir, I was writing in my journal pretty frantically that the piece about staying out in the open, stay out in the open, you'll be safe. And I kept getting the importance of rejoicing and how this is breaking the open in some way that I haven't even gotten to yet. But it just really resonated. Everything you were sharing, Andrew, the beauty in brokenness, And it's just interesting for me in that the only person that's really known about this has been my partner, who'll be with me there in July. But
Beautiful.
it's somewhat interesting that I'm sharing this with a group of people I hardly know on the internet, which is also to me a thing of beauty as well, speaking of openness.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. What a wonderful thing. What a gift you've given us of the real alchemy. Thank you.
Oh, it's definitely alchemy, yeah. And I wasn't going to say a word. I was just going to hide out here in Nashville until you said my name, Jim.
Well, thank God you did.
I knew you were the one to call.
Thank you. Thank you. What a wonderful thing to say about Kabir, too, that field of being shocked awake to what one can be and must be. That's it. That's what we are.
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful note upon which to bring our call to a close. And Ruth, I'm going to suggest you pick up your harp if you have it and give us a minute or two on the harp. And then Apela, why don't you give us our benediction? And then we'll draw the call to a close. Thank you so much, Andrew. You're always just there, man. You're always
there
just
with you all. Thank you. There with you all and in you all. And thanks to you being able to speak like this. What a wonderful gift Chartres has given us all.
Ruth.
Okay.
In the silence between the notes, the mystery comes. The fire of life reignited through our dreams, through the frequencies, through the numbers, angles, lines, forms. We converge. As we merge, preparing in body, mind, and spirit for our pilgrimage to Chartres, may we be granted clarity, purpose, focus, to walk that path, walk by the Karnut, the Galwas, the Paleolithic people, the Chartrian masters. As we walk that path towards reunion, passing through the mystical veil of Our Lady, finding our way to the cave once again. May we renew. May we feel the warm embrace of the Mother welcoming us. No one is a stranger. Ah, Mama. Oh, no. And bon voyage.
Thank you so much, Apela.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Banafsheh and Ruth and Jane. Dawn, thank you so much for opening our hearts the way you did. This is our last call, and we will see everyone in Chartres in about 6 weeks' time. And if you have any questions, you know who to ask. That's Bob. He takes care of everything.
Is there a rank beyond sanctity? Bob has got to that. He's a doctor of our eternal church now. There's only a few of those. God, thank you, Bob.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Aloha. Bye. Thank you, John.
Aloha. God bless you, everyone.